What's going on, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. Time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's get into the books I read this week. I'm going to go ahead and put my grading scale up. You know how this works. Whenever I introduce a book, I'm going to put the cover of the book on the grading scale so you can see how they all stack up against each other. With that out of the way, let's go into the big two as we always do, starting with Night Terror's Harley Quinn issue number 1 from Howard. I love the cover. This is basically why I grabbed it. I'm not actually reading Teenie Howard's run right now. I did start it when she came on board, but it just wasn't anything that I was really interested in. And this Night Terror book kind of follows along in that same suit. She's basically talking with insomnia right now. She's reliving her nightmares, which I guess is like fighting the Justice League or joining the Justice League. She's in this video game kind of a room. She's kind of surrounded by screens or whatever it is. And she's in these different scenarios like a video game. She's in a pirate setting, and then she's in a vampire setting, and then she's in some other setting, and she's taking on different members of the Justice League. And, it's just not really for me, honestly. Didn't really dig the art either, although it has its moments. It kind of shifts depending on what theme they're in. And, we get to relive, or not relive, but it's kind of reminiscent of like Deceased and things like that. So we get a little bit of a taste of things we may have seen in the past. I don't know, maybe it had its moments. I'm not entirely sure. The backstory was very, very different. I'm not even sure, is that even part of I guess it's part of this theme right here, but I don't know. It's like her and an older Harley Quinn going around this arcade, and like everything's kind of trippy, and we don't really know what's going on. So I don't know. I mean, some of these books are hitting it on the mark with the Night Terrors theme, and then some of them are just like, why did I read this? And this is kind of in that vein, although it's got a dope cover, so there's that. Next DC book we read this week was issue number 2, Darkest Hour variant cover. So we're back in that Dawn of ZC Night Terror stuff. I'm loving these like black light cover. I'm just calling them black light covers because they're just so awesome. Williamson's back on this one. If you like Deadman, now's the time to be a Deadman fan. He's also teaming up with an old deep cut Sandman as well from the DC universe. And those two are just trying to figure out what's going on. They understand there's some kind of a cult that used to be around. That's where the Nightmare Stone came from. Are there descendants still of this cult still around? We're trying to explore that right now and figure out how to get some answers. We get to actually explore, I don't know, was this Insomnia's nightmares? Not entirely sure. Some of his backstory, maybe a little bit, and we get to see just how widespread this plague of nightmares is right now. And towards the end of this book, we have our main characters in a bad way. So it is pretty interesting. It's continuing that lore. It's expanding a little bit. We're introduced to Sandman. He's a cool character. We still have Deadman inhabiting Batman's body, so we don't really have any Batman, so to speak, in this book, although you see him in every page. So it was an okay issue. I think I enjoyed the first issues a little bit better than I did this one. But again, just kind of grabbing it for the awesome covers. How are you guys liking this event so far? Let me know in the comments. All right, let's jump over into some Marvel next. We have the Avengers issue number 3. I liked issue number 1 and 2 because we set up our new team. We took on this big threat. It introduced us to the characters in case you weren't too familiar with them. And it kind of set the stage with Kang. And there's this big battle incoming that he has foreseen, and he's trying to alert our Avengers of that. This issue here actually introduced us to a lot of new villains coming from the Impossible City. I don't really know anything about this, but these new villains are pretty cool. They had their own themes to them, and so they were invading different parts of the world, and so our Avenger team had to then be micromanaged in a way that like, hey, what's the threat over here? Let's analyze the different threats. Let's take a moment to do that, and then the best Avengers for the job will go and defend those cities and actually save those people. So we had some pretty cool triaging of the threat, and then, how are we going to answer it kind of conversations in here, which I thought they would just do anyways. It seems like Captain Marvel just wanted to, or Carol Danvers wanted to just run in like kind of head first, but then she was forced to sit back a little bit, assess the situation, and send the best Avengers for the job. The character design of these villains was pretty interesting. We didn't learn a whole lot about them. We got just a taste of their power set based on like how they're destroying the city, I guess. And then each hero has now arrived to take on this threat, and we haven't exactly had that battle yet. So I guess the next issue is going to be jumping from, spot to spot, seeing the battle itself, how they're going to like neutralize this threat, and learning a little bit more about the Impossible City. So Avengers issue number 3, not bad, just like a big setup issue. Philip Kennedy Johnson on the Incredible Hulk issue number 2, not too bad. Nick Klein is on here, although there's some interesting art shifts and some weird credits in the beginning for the art itself. If anybody can clarify that, let me know, because you do see Nick Klein's art in the first few pages, and then we have about 3 or 4 pages of this more watery, colory dream state kind of a thing, and then it jumps back into Nick Klein, although he's only credited between art and color on page 8, 9, 10, and 11, which is just really kind of weird that they would do that. Anyways, so where are we with here? So we have Bruce Banner actually now teaming up with this little girl who's on the run from a very abusive father. She feels safe around the Hulk, not necessarily Bruce, but the Hulk, because he's the strongest thing there is, and that strength, that power, that confidence kind of rubs off and onto her, and she feels safe because of it. Now, there is this supernatural thing brewing right now. There's an ancient evil awakening, and it's kind of alerted other supernatural beings of its existence, and they're all huddling together to do some kind of resurrection, I suppose. I don't know. But they're all going to be looking out for the Hulk, or on the hunt for the Hulk. And there's some pretty cool interactions. There's this really cool Southern Baptist vibe to it, almost in a way. There's this chanting going on, this weird lady right here. It's almost like they're having a service or something like that. And they do get wind of Bruce Banner being the Hulk. And there's a pretty interesting scene here. There's this conversation internally between Banner and Hulk. And, he's trying to get the Hulk to actually Hulk out and save the day. Doesn't exactly go according to plan, but we get some cool, grotesque, horror-like Hulk towards the end of the book. So the run's pretty interesting so far. I'm waiting for a little bit more, to be honest with you. The art's really cool. It's very reminiscent of Al Ewing's run with the horror aspect, especially with Nick Klein on there. So if you liked that, I think you're going to dig the vibe and the feel of the Incredible Hulk. If you didn't like that and you like Donnie's stuff a little bit more, this is very, very different. But again, I'm just kind of waiting for just a little bit more meat on the bone of this story, because I don't exactly know where we're going. We have to establish our villain still. We have issue number 3 on the way, and that's, historically the issue that solidifies all this stuff. So we'll see what the next issue brings. Ultimate Invasion from Hickman, issue number 2. I love this book a lot. I didn't really get into the Ultimate Universe back in the day, but I did read the Venom stuff with the Maker, read a few other things here and there to get familiarized with the, the general concept of the Ultimate Universe. This right here is just like another version, another dimension, something like that the Maker is trying to mold and craft into his own Ultimate Universe in a way. He stopped a lot of powerful heroes from ever becoming. We have things like he stopped Spider-Man from getting bitten by the spider. We stopped Thor from taking over Asgard. We stopped the Fantastic Four from ever becoming the Fantastic Four. Things like that. So he's actually kind of molding this universe that he's in right now so that there's not a whole lot of threats, I would imagine, that he has to take on. So that was pretty cool. We do have Howard Stark as Iron Man in here, and that's a really cool thing. We explore that a little bit about how that could be and who his family and his friends are. So we get a little bit of that in here as well. And then we get a cool battle towards the end. We have all these future state heroes teaming up and trying to take on the Maker in this moment, but he's totally seen this coming. He has a plan for them, and he actually uses them to help him convince Howard Stark to play ball and to help him figure out this riddle that he can't remember because of a recent event. It's really interesting to see. It's a very time jumpy. There's a lot of things like that going on, but it was very cool. Does it read like a Hickman book? Not exactly, which is kind of interesting. Chaos and Comics brought this up as well on a video that it doesn't feel like a traditional Hickman book, but I'm still having a good time with it. The art's not too bad either from Brian Hitch. And so, I'm along for the ride. We'll see where it goes. All right, let's get into the Fall of X. We have the Hellfire Gala issue number 1. So much stuff happened inside of this book, and it got even someone like me excited, just a casual X-Men person excited to seeing what's going on right here. The book does open with some Miss Marvel stuff, so if you're wondering her state, where is she at right now, what's her condition, we knew she was coming back. We've already seen covers for her issue number 1 coming out next month or month after, something like that. But we get a little explanation of how this could possibly be. How can she be an Inhuman and a mutant at the same time? We do get that. And then, of course, we get our introduction into our Hellfire Gala. Everyone shows up. Everyone starts pairing off. And we have our announcements. And we get to see who the next X-Men team is, which I could care less about, to be honest with you. But there it is. We're getting used to our new X-Men team being announced during the Hellfire Gala. And, of course, we get it right here. Now, immediately after that announcement, we have a full-on assault from Orcus. We have AIM, we have Nimrod, we have MODOK, we have Moira, we have all these people coming in, Mr. Sinister coming in to completely ruin the gala, destroy as many mutants as we can, and they've been building this up, they've been planning this attack, it's a full-fledged attack, spreading the resources, then taking on Omegas first, first, and so much stuff happens in here, and we're left in a really, really sad state. Resources are stretched thin, people are stranded, Omegas are dead. Man, it is a war zone inside of this book. Did not see any of this coming. It was really cool. I will say that to really appreciate this, you might need to know a lot about the current state of X-Men to get into it. Maybe just learn about Moira and like her journey, Mr. Sinister with the Sins of Sinister stuff, just like at a high level what he was up to, and his relationship or collaboration with MODOK. I think if you just understand a couple of those little things, you can go into this just fine. But there's just so much craziness going on in the X books right now. But this book totally surprised me. It was really cool, really awesome. It's got me excited. What'd you guys think? Jumping over into some indies, we have Indigo Children issue number 5. Now, I really liked issues like 1, 2, 3, and 4. This issue is a little bit less interesting to me because our team doesn't really showcase a lot of their powers. They're actually on the run right now. They're trying to find all the different people to complete their team, and they're actually being chased down, hunted down right now in this foreign land, and they need to assemble their forces and kind of go back to the source almost to just take them out because that's their goal right now. So this was a big chase issue between, the agencies that are after them and then the Indigo Children themselves. There's some casualties on both sides, but what this issue I think lacked was just that all those power sets that we came to know and love in the first few issues. We had some really cool examples of how creative they could be together, and we see it a little bit in here, but there was just a whole lot of running around, and I'm like, these guys are superpowered. They should be, putting up more of a fight. I don't know. There's moments where their power sets are used, but I think they lost a lot of momentum by not showcasing some of the power sets inside of this issue. So this one was a little bit of a downer for me, although it was action-packed. We'll see where the next issue goes. Did you guys read it? What'd you think? The next book from Image this week was World Tree issue number 4 from James Tynion IV. And of course, we have Blanco, Belair, and Bidikar on here as well. So if you've been liking World Tree so far, I think you're going to dig this issue as well. It's a little bit more of the same, to be honest with you. We had a girl that was featured in the last issue who got a little bit of a taste of the undernet, and so she's kind of possessed or whatever she is right now. And so we have our team of experts, the guys who were uncovering it back in the day, trying to kind of, bring her back. There's this Clockwork Orange kind of a reference in here to bring her back out of that trance that she's in. And actually that was pretty cool to see all that weird just chaos going on. I totally bought that headspace, and I think that was done pretty well. And when she gets back, she actually has to go through a little bit of an orientation, and people explain to her what's going on. So it's a little bit of maybe a narrative dump in a sense. And so we get to see that. We get to see some relationships that used to be, but now they're not, kind of reflourish. Of course, we get our detective team shown as well, and they're not really in a great spot. And we get a pretty big revelation at the end of the issue about who this, naked chick is this entire time that's been walking around murdering people. So that was pretty shocking as well. Overall, man, it's just like any modern James Tynion book, to be honest with you right now. And I'm not super excited for this series just yet. We'll see where it goes. I'm getting Nice House on the Lake vibes. I'm getting, Department of Truth vibes, which is fine. We'll see where it goes from here, but it's not a book that I'm super excited about whenever it comes out. What do you guys think overall? Next book we got this week was Berserker Poetry of Madness. We have Keanu Reeves on here, and we have Steve Skroce and Dave Stewart. Steve Skroce to me is kind of like a Jeff Darrow kind of an artist, but with a little bit different approach to things, but he still has a very complex, very busy paneling, and it's just chocked full of action. So if you're into that kind of stuff, I think you're going to totally dig this one. This is Berserker in Atlantis, showcasing his relationship with the king, how the king's mind got manipulated by the sorcerer that's around there, and how that sorcerer actually brought out this ancient monster to take on everything. And so we get to see Berserker take on this monster right here, and it's pretty amazing. It's just insane. I felt like I was laughing the whole time at the absurdity of this entire book. I was so glad Berserker is back in our life. It doesn't give us any more context, I don't think, to the character itself. It's just another fun issue you can pick up. If you like Berserker, check out Poetry of Madness. It was pretty cool. Next book we got is Red Room Crypto Killers issue number 3. This book was hilarious as well, kind of featuring on a character very reminiscent of Quentin Tarantino. He is somebody who's lecturing to a group of people about kind of the history of Red Rooms themselves, some very famous Red Room VHSs or whatever they might be, film that has been passed around generation to generation, and that he he's got this gigantic stash full of it. And he's trying to, I don't know, expose this or something like that, or just educate people. I'm not entirely sure, but he actually gets kidnapped and put into a Red Room scene himself, but he was asked to direct the next one, which I thought was really cool. Now, did it go as smoothly as he wanted? No, probably not. I wish I could show you some scenes in here, but I absolutely can't. This is a really, really cool issue. I did like it a lot. It has a little different composition than the other two issues, especially in this Crypto Killers run, but it was still awesome. I loved it. And to top it off, we have a backstory in here, which the Latchkey Kids licensed to kill. This is actually a daily strip that he's been working on, that Ed's been working on for quite some time now, and I love the color palette used in here as well. It kind of reminds me of like Rugrats meets Garbage Pail Kids in a way, so I totally dug it. A lot of cool characters inside of here. It's something that he's going to flesh out and mature over time, but this is their first appearance inside of this book, so you get a little taste of what he's been working on in here, and it's a pretty long story as well, and we get some pretty spicy covers at the back of this as well. So issue number 3, issue number 4 will be the conclusion, I believe, of this run right here. You can pick up any issue you want. They're all individual issues, but if you like it, it might take you some time to find the other ones because these are pretty hard to find. So check it out. It's really worth it. TMNT and Usagi Yojimbo issue number 5 from IDW. We have the Stan Sakai cover right here, this wraparound. Absolutely love that. Double dipped on it and got the Kevin Eastman one as well. This is the big conclusion of Dr. Werwen setting up his robotic army, taking on Usagi's forces as well. The Turtles have found a plan to deactivate all these robots, so they're actually taking the fight to his palace right now. And so we have a fight going on in 2 different fronts at the moment, and I just love the team up between Usagi's forces and TMNT. It's really cool to see all those different characters interact and everything. The art style in here, like the playfulness, is just amazing. There's so much charm inside this book, but it's also got some adult themes to it as well. There's actually death in here, but it's handled in like a cartoonish kind of a way, which I think is a really cool way that he's approaching this book. And I like the way that he draws the turtles as well. So it was a really cool, really great 5-issue story that's a little bit open-ended towards the end as well. So I'm excited to see if it's going to continue, if it's going to go anywhere from here. Totally love this collaboration. Did you guys read it? And what'd you guys think? Ablaze Comics Traveling to Mars issue number 7 from Mark Russell. What's brilliant about this book is we have this character that was seemingly just kind of a nobody at the beginning of this series, and now we're learning so much about his life, his journey, his relationships with like his wife, his ex-wife now, his family, and his own thought process. That's all he has out in space right now. So we take all these moments inside this book to really reflect and look back at his past experiences. It tells us a little story about how he became the person he is, the kind of like highs and lows that he's gone through his whole life, and then how that particular memory or that experience shapes him in the current story. It's very relevant to whatever's going on at the moment. He's actually approaching Mars. In the next issue, we are going to be landing supposedly on Mars. But this issue here gives us our best look at the current state of the world. And the current state of the world is complete chaos right now. We have people hijacking trucks, we have looters, things like that, people attacking each other. People don't really leave their homes anymore because of the fear of violence and everything that's going on outside. And so he's hearing all this, basically reinforcing the necessity of his journey. Like he has to do this, and people are convincing him that he can stop this once he gets there. So, ultimately it's giving him the fuel to finish the job right here. If you're not reading this book, I highly recommend picking up the trade when it comes out. Issue number 7. I think there's going to be 10 issues in this run. I can't wait to read more. All right, next book we got was also from Kurt. We have You've Been Canceled issue number 2. Finally came in for me, Mad Cave Studios. I described this book as it's kind of like a modern day Running Man meets Twitch in a way. If you're somebody who's just a real piece of crap in the society and you've been canceled the way that we cancel people, we are actually thrown into this game show where these assassins are going to hunt you down live and people are going to be watching it. And it's pretty funny to see all these weird people get canceled in this book. We follow this main assassin, this guy that's on the cover right here. He's got a lot of experience. He's the #1 guy in this whole arena, and he's actually out between kills right now in a way, and all of a sudden somebody hacked the system and made him the next target. So he's on the run, John Wick style, from all these other assassins, and he's trying to figure out who exactly did that. Of course, he has some friends that are very resourceful, and they give him some clues about who might be the person that's hacked into the system and has made him the next target. And so he goes to take on that threat as well. And it's pretty funny how they handle it in here. This book has a real extreme manga feel to it. So if you're into manga and you're not quite into comic books, I think this book would be a great transition book for you, because a lot of the art styles, the action, the compositions, the paneling, things like that, I think are very reminiscent to a manga style. So I think it would be a good gateway drug into comics themselves, or maybe in the other direction as well if you haven't been into that. Very cool, lots of humor, lots of action, just some insane stuff happening in You've Been Canceled issue number 2. Highly recommend it, check it out. And then the last book we read this week was from Scout Comics. We have Space Outlaws from Marco Fontanelli, I think it's how you pronounce it, written and drawn by them. Really cool, interesting book. This book right here reminds me of like Men in Black meets Chronicles of Riddick meets Terminator in a way. We have this impossible to escape prison out in Mars right now. We have a fugitive who is like the master of chaos on the run trying to escape, and he actually is successful in escaping and actually heads towards Earth. Now the council, the people that were running this prison or running this society, need to figure out what are they going to do about this guy. He needs to be captured, but we can't send a whole army to Earth because they don't know we're here. We need to send down this one soldier who can definitely take on this threat. He's kind of like somebody that you call whenever your back's up against the wall and you have no other option. So we get this character right here, very Terminator-esque, and very much in like a Terminator or Men in Black fashion. He is sent down and there's all this chaos that ensues. So we're going to have some interactions with the people. Of course, we have this killer, that this fugitive that causes chaos on the run. And then we have this Terminator-like character that has landed as well. This book is grotesque. The art is really cool and interesting. It's very bright and vibrant. I love the color palette used in here as well. It was a really cool book. I really recommend this one. It's a $7 price tag. It feels a little bit extra large. I feel like it's worth it, but like, man, $7, that's a lot. At a $5 price point, I'd say it's a must get. So just, take care of your wallet. Check this one out though if you have the chance. It was really fun. So guys, that's everything I read this week, and those are my thoughts. I hope you appreciated that. Let me know down below in the comments what you picked up and what your favorite books of the week were. And while you're down there, hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and check out the join button as well. I would really appreciate it. But as always, thank you very much for watching again. See you in the comments.